Good evening. I now call this meeting of the Silver Falls School District Board of Directors to order. And we will note attendance. Josh and Aaron are online, and Derek said he wasn't going to make it, so 6 out of 7 are here. We have a quorum. Let's go on to the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. And next we have the Board Superintendent Operating Agreement. Owen's going to read that tonight for us.
From the Collaborative Governance section, members of the board and superintendent will work together in good faith as a team in the best interest of students, modeling a willingness to learn together. Board members will recognize and respect the superintendent's responsibility to manage school district and to direct employees in district and school matters. Board members will give careful consideration, listening to all perspectives to all issues brought to the board by individuals and district leadership. The board may only make decisions at properly called meetings. Board members recognize that individual members have no authority to take individual action in policy or district and school administrative matters unless so authorized by board vote. Communication agreements. Board members must follow the chain of responsibility and communicate directly with the superintendent when a question arises, or a concern or complaint is voiced by a staff member, student, parent, or community member. Board members will endeavor to communicate directly with the superintendent or board chair prior to meetings of the board to address questions and or concerns about agenda items. Board members and the superintendent recognize that good answers often require preparation in advance of board meetings. When a board member and or the superintendent has an individual concern, he or she must communicate one-on-one with any member of the board superintendent team as appropriate. In the interest of public transparency and full robust debate, board members will endeavor to actively engage in and contribute to the board discussions and to share their perspectives on topics before the board. Full participation from members in advance of a vote supports the board in making informed, well-considered decisions on important district matters.
Thanks, Owen. All right, the next item is the agenda review.
I'd like to modify the agenda that we remove 11B1, which is IKA, second read, from tonight. Put it in our time. I met with Dan today. We were discussing some things about it, and instead of get to the second read stage tonight, look into some other things about possible placement of some of the information from it.
Okay, and that's the one that you mentioned last at our work session?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and so otherwise, the rest of the agenda as handled without removal, I'd make a motion accordingly.
Is there a second?
Second.
And do we need discussion on that? Everybody feel?
No objection.
Okay, all right. So it's been moved and seconded to move on with the agenda except for the change of, what's the number again?
11B1.
11B1. Let's go ahead and vote on that.
Tom?
Aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Owen?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
All in favor?
All right, next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. Let's go ahead and vote.
Tom?
Yes.
Phil?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Owen?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
All in favor?
All right, let's move on to student representatives then. Adelaide and Kate are here to report from SHS.
Good evening, I am Kate Alger, and my ASB position is sophomore class president.
I am Adelaide Lord, and my ASB position is sophomore class vice president.
So to get us started, going to speak about our Tree of Giving fundraiser. As a school, we raised $5,300 in total, and last week ASB bought presents for all the kids, and it went really great.
Our choir and band have their holiday concerts this week. The band concert will be on Thursday, the 14th. And the choir concert will be next week on Thursday, the 21st. Both of them in the Silverton High School auditorium.
We also have many sport events that our students are involved in at the high school. Tonight, our wrestling team is at McKay, and on the 15th, they are at West Albany.
On the 13th, which is this Wednesday, our swim team will be at Corvallis. And tomorrow, our girls and boys basketball teams have a stacked home game against Woodburn. The girls' game is at 5:30 and the boys' game is at 7.
We hope all of you can attend our upcoming events, and go Foxes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, item 7 tonight are the school and principal reports. Silvercrest principal Melissa Linder is not available due to illness tonight, so we'll have to hear from her later. But Scotts Mills principal Kirsten Jorgensen is here. I think we have some students here as well from Scotts Mills, so come on up. Cool.
All right, good evening. I do have some special guests with me. I'm going to do the not as exciting part first, and then they're going to turn it over to them. So it's been a great start to the school year. It feels like last year we were really truly learned the impact of what the pandemic did to us as a school, the district, as a state, and really trying to focus now on, okay, now we really know, we know how it's impacted our kids and really all of us. How are we going to close the gap for our students, getting them back on grade level where they need to be successful. We have, I don't know if I'm close enough to this, we have our school numbers are almost back to our 2019 numbers. We're at 161. Our largest class is our 5th grade right now at 27 students. We're doing a little bit of a mid-year shift for our 2nd and 3rd. We had them split they shared Mrs. Bazan in the morning. Mrs. Bazan had 3rd grade, Mrs. Lawton had 2nd grade, and then the afternoon they blended, that was for core, and then the afternoon they blended for their specials, and Mrs. Bazan does our Title I interventions. Unfortunately, which I'm going to talk about here shortly, is her son has been diagnosed with osteosarcoma, and so her life has kind of been turned around, and so we need to adjust like we always do and figure out how we best support our students, knowing it's hard to get subs and the consistency is important to our kids. And so Mrs. Lawton, our 2nd grade teacher, volunteered to take on the 2nd graders all day, so our 3rd graders, so makes a large class of 28, but we're also adding some supports in there and doing some things to help support her with that large class size. And then Mrs. Bazan will be doing interventions all day, but something that we can be a little more flexible with if she can't be in the building or we don't have a sub available. So we recently had our annual holiday performance, and our PTC always does a quilt raffle where Lisa Garrett makes a gorgeous quilt, and our PTC donated the funds to the Bazan family, and it was about $1,400. So it was a great fundraiser for the family. So something really that makes Scotts Mills special. I noted the Title I support, so we actually have not been Title I for about 3 years. I don't think we've qualified, maybe 4, and we're excited to get that news this year that we do have some Title I funding. So that's been a real blessing for us in adding some intervention as well as supporting of our curriculum to provide additional supports for our students. I talked about, closing that gap. Our test scores are concerning. Our kids are not, it's almost like it flipped. Pre-COVID, we had 40% of our students weren't meeting the benchmark, and now it's 60%. So it's like that flip, it's pretty, across the district, not all the schools, but it's not something that we're celebrating. It's something we're trying to figure out how we're going to fix and what are the things that we can do to help support our students. So our Scotts Mills goals are just those focus on the intervention and support in reading and math for our students, bringing those numbers up, as well as our PBIS and supporting social emotional learning for our students. We have a great PBIS team who, not only looks at student data, but we do a lot of really fun assemblies each month where our middle school leadership kids are doing skits to teach the focus of the month. We have a monthly focus. We get students of the month. At the assemblies, the students get names get drawn out for prizes, and then every Friday, what's it called? What comes to your classroom? The Woot Woot Wagon comes to the students' classrooms, and they get to pick a prize out of there if their name is drawn. So trying to do a lot of stuff to really make it fun. As far as our, the strategic plan, looking on our district strategic plan and every student being on track, looking at our curriculum, our PLC teams are continuing to work on the unit map conversation as continues, but we're really seeing the impact of those and how it's helpful. And then we have our monthly walkthroughs, a lot of time with the district leadership team, but looking at, where's the evidence that we are sticking to our unit maps and our projection maps. And we have implemented guided phonics and Haggerty K2, which is really seeing some great things with that. Our first grade teacher, Megan Senior, was recently recorded teaching. And, when I go in the classroom and I see her teach, I'm like, she does a great job. But then when you watch her on video, you're like, she really does a great job. So that's really neat to see, and our kids, we're seeing that in our students' learning. And then 3-5, we're also doing the pilot of the phonics for reading intervention, which has been great, knowing our 3rd through 5th graders were really missed some foundational skills during COVID. They part of their 1st grade year, 2nd grade year, and then 3rd grade was pretty wonky. So those kids really we are focusing on. And then we have the new iReady math curriculum, which we're learning, but we're getting there. We are implementing the 20% meetings. So we recently had our first round of that, and it was really great to see the conversations, hear the conversations about what interventions are currently happening in our classrooms and what are the things that we need to keep working on. And then we'll be doing another round of progress monitoring in January, and then continue that conversation and monitoring, adjusting as we need. Attendance continues to be something, families have done a great job. We've kind of adjusted how we sometimes think about sending our kids to school when they don't feel well. So that does, impact our attendance numbers, but our counselor, Mrs. Villarreal, is doing a great job connecting with families, providing some interventions to help get kids to school. And then with SEL, I talked a little bit our PBIS already. We do our walkthrough. We do a walkthrough in September, January, and March. And our middle school kids lead the walkthrough around our school expectations in January and March. So we give them a chance to be the teachers. Woot Woot Cart, we have implemented junior coaches. Are either of you junior coaches? No, not yet. So we have junior coaches through Playworks this year. We've been kind of trying to implement that for a few years. And this year we did, and then we've seen a really great response to that. So that's been a real positive for our building. And talking about school facilities, our covered play area committee is actually meeting Wednesday. We are continuing that conversation of how we're going to bring that to Scotts Mills. That was one of our big goals and focuses with the bond, and something we really need. Our community and PTC is committed to helping make that happen for us, so we're really excited about that. We have a great partnership with our community, PTC, and Driscoll's Giving Program for our school projects. We completed our school garden, and when I send Debbie the pictures and such on my board report, I shared a picture of our first harvest. So our students, we had flowers and lots of summer or fall squash and gourds and such that our middle schoolers decorated each classroom with, which was super fun when it was time to harvest. And we already have another beautification project. It's undercover right now, so I can't share what it is, but in the wraps for this spring. So we're really excited about that. So that being said, we have lots of great celebrations, great things happening. Like I said, we had our holiday program. We had our Veterans Day celebration, which was great. Middle school sports are going strong. Girls basketball is about ready to wrap up. But most important, why I invited these young ladies here, is Mrs. Andrus's 4th grade class had a conversation about how to share joy and giving gifts, and the conversation turned to money, and you can't give gifts without money, and kind of conversation went from there, and they talked about what gifts you can give without money. And so Mrs. Andrus, I don't know where, found a publishing company that was having a competition, and it's Student Treasures Publishing, and they're having a national book challenge, and our students are semifinalists. So unfortunately, we don't know if we've won until the end of the school year, but we're really excited. We had a book signing party last Thursday. We had kind of set it up like the college signing parties for athletes, where they had balloons and all the students got to sign their names and their books and on their page. And so I wanted to just take a minute and let these two young ladies introduce yourselves, and they'll tell you their name, and they're going to talk to you a little bit about their page on the book.
My name is Flynn Fournier. My name is Addison Barnes. My page is 5 and 6, and my gift is courage.
They were going to read their favorite line from their paragraph. So Glenn asked me to read. It's not the strength of the body that counts, but the strength of the spirit, said J.R. Tolkien. These are the ways to show my gift for my family, friends, and animals.
I would give my gift of bravery by standing up to someone. For example, I would tell a bully to stop. Another way I can show bravery is by encouraging someone. These are 2 ways I can show bravery to my friends.
That's really great, girls.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
They have this book we published. All the students got a book, and then we have a couple in our school, so we can save them forever and ever and remember it.
Yeah. Very nice.
Thank you so much.
Good job.
Thanks for
Wonderful
sharing.
book.
Do you have any questions for them? Or me?
What was the best part about the process of making the book?
I'm probably going to say the effort that we took to make this.
What do you think?
I probably think, like, the time and effort it took.
So you guys worked really hard on it, and every single person in your class has a page. That's amazing. Way to go. Can't wait to hear how it all turns out.
Before we report back.
Okay.
Thank you, Scotts Mills.
Thank you.
Number 8 on our agenda tonight is the Silver Falls Education Association. Hello.
Hello. I have to say, I'm Lori Wire, I'm president of SFEA. I was sad to miss last month's meeting because we talked about our high school ELD curriculum. Leslie got to, but my sweet little granddaughter decided to make her way into the world, so sorry, I had to go there, but
Forgivable.
yes. So this is not a fun topic like Scotts Mills got to do, but given the information that was shared at the last work session, and as well as our principals doing their what-if budget scenarios with staff, it's fair to say that budget is it's at the forefront of everybody's minds right now. There's a lot of concern about it. At our communications meeting last week, which includes district leadership team as well as the SFEA exec team, we had a very good discussion about this. I think we could agree it was a tough discussion, but it was a good discussion. One thing that we shared is that we feel it's important for everyone to remember that while a good majority of our budget goes to personnel costs, personnel expenses, there are other costs that come out of our general fund as well. For example, the bond effort, and we know that this bond was very much needed, but it costs money to put forth this effort, and just the acknowledgement that there are additional costs in addition to the salary costs that were mentioned. Additionally, we have expenses in contracting with edX for our personal development to work towards our goal of having a guaranteed and viable curriculum. And we wonder if perhaps staff could be trained to provide the services that is currently being provided by edX, so that those SIA funds can be used in other ways to help offset costs that come from the general fund. We're trying to be creative in ways that we can cut costs with as little impact as possible to students. It was also mentioned that contract settlements greatly impacted our reserves as well, the last 2 contract cycles. And we have to remember that there's licensed contracts, there's classified contracts, but there's administrative salaries as well that may not be in contracts. So it's a whole big group there. And while our license contracts may have increased over the last 2 contract cycles, this was in an effort to bring our license compensation to a level that's comparable to like districts. Because if our salaries aren't comparable, then we can't attract quality teachers to come teach our children. And it's also indicative of how out of whack our salary schedules were to start with, that it needed the improvements that it took over the last 2 cycles. It was also shared that we've had salary expenses due to hiring more experienced teachers, and that was cited for a reason for more unexpected costs. And we shared that we thought that would be sharing that data so everybody can see that where are these experienced teachers being hired would be beneficial for everybody to be able to see that. Dan had also talked about being very selective in what licensed and classified positions are being filled, not declaring an all-out hiring freeze, but just being very selective in how we're going to proceed. We appreciate that the discussion also included indicating that there are cuts that will be made at all levels of the district, not with just those that are most closely associated with working with our kids. During our discussion, the need for transparency was emphasized. Our members, as well as the community, need to be able to see where and how our funds are spent, as well as where they're going to be cut back. We know that there are some tough decisions that need to be made, and our members appreciate Scott's commitment to transparency as we navigate these uncertain times. Thank you.
Thanks, Lori. Okay, we are moving on to item 9, public comment. We're glad you're here and welcome you to address the board with your ideas, concerns, or compliments. Please keep the following in mind. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand to be recognized by the board chair. If attending remotely, please use the raise hand feature within Zoom. For the record, please provide your name and relationship to the district. Please keep individual remarks to 3 minutes. If speaking as a representative on behalf of a group of 3 or more, comment time will be extended to 5 minutes. A second public comment period will occur later in the meeting that is specific to discussion and action items only. The board will not hear complaints against individual district staff or board members during public comment. Please understand that the board's primary role is to listen, and you likely will not receive an immediate response. Finally, remember, we all model the way for our students and ask that you share your thoughts respectfully and in accordance with the Silver Falls School District Board Decorum Agreement. With that, is there somebody from the audience who would like to go first? All right.
I'd like to go in the second group.
Is there somebody online?
There are no hands raised.
Okay.
Oh, Carl.
Carl, come on up. So, Carl, I'm going to ask you 4 questions. The first one is your name, and the second one's the relationship to the district, and then I'm going to ask you 2 more after you answer those.
Okay. Carl Detweiler, live in the district, went to school in the district.
And are you speaking on behalf of a group or for just for yourself?
Just for myself.
Okay, so Tom's going to keep time, and he'll give you a warning at the 2-minute, 30-second mark. And then what's the topic that you're going to speak about tonight?
A proposed new bond.
Thank you.
So I appreciate the work you guys are doing going forward. And I was able to attend the last work session you guys had. And just thinking through things and listening to what you guys had discussed, there was talk, I believe, of a potential OSCIM grant again for a May bond. Don't know what all the details or how that works out, but one thing I heard a board member speak to was possibly putting a smaller bond on to take care of the high school roof, maybe some maintenance if I understood it correctly, seeking out the OSCIM grant. And I just wanted to say that is an idea that I really think would be beneficial, because I would hope the community would support a very small one. It would give us time to look at other options or all the options for a potential future bond, maybe more in time with the high school bond falling off. So that's all I wanted to say tonight. So
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Anybody else online raise their hand? Okay, hello, welcome. Can you tell us your name and relationship to the district?
Yes, ma'am. Ammon Sabo. I'm a father of a child at Silver Falls Middle School, Silverton Middle School, and I was on the bond oversight committee, had that gone through.
Okay, and so you're speaking just for yourself tonight?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you're going to have 3 minutes, and then the bond is going to be your topic, I'm assuming.
It is.
Okay.
That and then another topic. So I'll start with my second one first. I missed the work committee, and I'm new to these meetings, so you have to forgive me. My experience is on the planning committee and the budget committee, which ties into this. I would encourage the board to consider establishing a working group, a committee, a group of ninjas, whatever you want to call them, much like the previous bond committee, to start establishing contingency plans for the middle school. A working group, if you will, that would obviously work with you guys, staff, and public to, we're in dire straits over there, nobody needs to tell you that. But get a group of people together, subject matter experts, that can start formulating plans of, I know you guys talked about it, if the bond didn't pass, what are we going to do? We need to start answering those questions right now. I've heard some suggestions, but I would encourage to put out the word to the public and try and establish a committee to start that plan right now. In my respectful opinion, that should have been included in the bond process for that transparency that we were talking about. There's no such thing as too much information. The second thing about the bond, previously, the previous speaker spoke about it. I've been speaking with a lot of my neighbors who are retired, fixed income, things like that. Once they learned on as a planning committee, they beat on my door about once a week and want to talk politics. It's great. But I think there is a very, very, very strong appetite in town for a smaller bond. Mine's much bigger than just the school roof, but I assess the bond situation as we have an absolute need. We absolutely have to replace the middle school. It's that simple. We don't have an option. Its lifespan is up. And then we have a bunch of wants and needs and improvements, things that we can justify all day long. But I'd encourage the board to consider going back out for the May bond. I know we'll miss the $4 million. We will get it? Okay, great. But there's a lot of momentum there. I think if we can improve the communication and show the public that, okay, 138 or whatever it was is too much, here's what we've done to save your money and build on that momentum. I think it would pass. Obviously, we need it. So those are my comments.
Thank
Any
you so
questions
much.
of me?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody raise their hand online?
Nope.
Okay. Anybody else from the audience? All right. It looks like we're going to move on then to administrator and staff reports. The first one is a bond update. Superintendent Scott Drew is going to present.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm going to go ahead and run the board through some follow-up from the board work session. I thought the conversation that we had during that work session was excellent. We had a protocol, as you remember, to work through the election data, and we had some things that we were going to take with us to then update you on going forward. I just want to draw us back to 1/3 of our strategic plan is to reconcile our facilities. And this will continue to be our goal until we have a different strategic plan or until we meet this goal. So I always like to start our work there, always remind us that we ground ourselves in our district strategic plan. And if anybody's interested, if anybody's listening tonight or is interested in the protocol and the information that we collaborated around at the board work session last month, that is available on Board Book. It's available to the public. And so for tonight's goal, I want to update you on three options, and it's three options specifically that we came up with for you to think about and take this with you. We don't meet this month for a board work session, but we do January 8th. And so we're just starting the thinking here. So no decisions will be made tonight, of course, but I do have three specific options to present to you, as well as any others that you come up with as a board that you'd like us to take a look at. You will have a board resolution to take action on tonight, but that is only to allow us to continue our work towards a potential May bond. In particular, we need to get in the application for the OSCIM grant. And the OSCIM grant, as you know, has been increased to $6 million, up from $4 million. And the resolution tonight would be to clear the path for that application, and that's due this Friday. Just remember that we can change the amount of the bond going forward on the OSCIM grant application. We have received word from ODE that that's fine, but we do need to get that in. It will require the board taking action. Some follow-up from the November board work session, updating some costs. We've worked with Wenaha Group, and they've gone over all the costs from the previous bond, the middle school from the previous bond. There's been a softening of the construction market, which is actually really good news. So there's some cost savings there. There's some additional scenarios that we want to walk you through, some additional reductions as well. And I'd like to take you through what those options look like. Option number one is, of course, replacement of Silverton Middle School. I don't think we'll find one person in Silver Falls School District that doesn't think we need to do something about our middle school. And to replace that would be a $71 million cost. That's $4 million less than it was in our previous bond. Here in these numbers, a $65 million and the $6 million OSCIM grant is factored in there. So that is a cost savings there. And these do include updated escalation costs as well. And this would result in no tax increase over the current tax rate and a potential or slight decrease in taxes depending on the information that we have in the future. Steve can also talk to this about it in his financial report as well to the board this evening. Option two is the $71 million Silverton Middle School cost, plus $8 million in incredibly important needs that this school facility has, the high school, and that is the roof, the chiller, HVAC controls, and security. And those are needs, not wants. And this is our biggest investment as a school district, and we have dire needs here that need to be figured out, and this would make it viable through option two. That would be a $79 million bond cost. And we could possibly achieve, depending on the terms of the bond, flat tax rate on that as well. That would be, of course, our goal. And let's see, option three is one that we left a little open-ended because we need to answer some critical questions. Should this be an area that the board would like us to take a look at? That is a middle school, which is $71 million, plus the $8 million in high school needs, $79 million bond, plus some package of critical items for the other schools in our districts. Each school in our district has significant needs. We already know that. And this is just an option we wanted to put down out there for the board. We had an in-depth discussion about this at the board work session. We feel we captured what the board was looking forward to seeing tonight in the first two options, but wanted to leave this one out there as well. The full details of the three scenarios will be ready by January 8th. And we'll be able to come back with a much more comprehensive picture for all of you. But that's the follow-up from the board work session. Those are the three options that we have on the table, and hopefully the board takes action on the resolution that allows us to at least start moving forward in our planning. Any questions on that?
Excuse me. The numbers, how are they being arrived at?
So Wenaha Group uses an algorithm that's industry standard, and that's how they project costs. And that's who we work with to get updated numbers.
Well, for example, on the middle school, what criteria is being used as far as size of this middle school? Is it square footage? Is it enrollment? Is it number of classrooms? What's being figured when we're talking a middle school?
Well, it's a school. We use the same square footage that was in the previous bond.
Which is?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to get that for you. You have that information as well, Phil.
I've seen varied depending on if the gym was included and et cetera. So
and it would be including the auxiliary gym, yes. And that's a school for about 550 kids. And that could be expanded to 600 without much additional cost as well. But that's how that number is derived at.
I have a question about, and this is maybe Owen could remember too, the bond advisory committee ranked the safe, warm, and dry issues that they thought were most important. I would want to know, like you said, roofs, question mark.
Mm-hmm.
I would want to know what the BAC ranked as the highest, just because we're not going to have another chance to have public input at the same level. And so for me, that's something that's super important, is that we are honoring the work that's already been done and not just making decisions as this small group, because we don't know better than that larger group, I guess.
Yes, I agree 100%. And we can definitely come back to you with that information as well.
Thanks.
And are we spending additional information, monies here on Wenaha than we already have?
There may be some additional cost associated with.
Wenaha is just working on a per hour basis for us to update some numbers. We also plan on having Cassie and possibly Jonah, the architect, to come next meeting in January to provide some more specific details about the costing and to walk through those things for us. And just a clarification on option 2, that would be a $73 million bond plus $6 million OSCIM grant, not a $79 million bond.
Got it.
Yeah. But in terms of some of those questions, Phil, with regards to square footage and such, there was a lot of comparisons done by folks during the second listening session round. And there was a lot of information put out during the BAC process around some of those costs and how comparing possibly to another building project may not necessarily be apples to apples.
Mm-hmm.
For example, at our site here, you know, there's obviously cost considerations for the demolition, you know, of the previous building, and that may not be the case somewhere else where they're just building, you know, a new building on land without demolition, and those types of considerations. So there's a lot that goes into that, and I think, you know, especially with 3 new board members as well, and for all of us, it'll be good to go through those details again on the specifics around the costs and just the kind of the high level layout. There's no specific
detailed design work, but there's a conceptual and the way the cost would work and how long it takes and those types of things. And those things need to be brought back to the table.
There's definitely going to be some cost to work on current numbers as well. We do not have the capacity as a school district to do that on our own, since we are not experts in that area. Any other questions?
Tom and Owen, you guys have questions?
Any room in there for an yet to be determined option 4?
There's always room.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we work at the pleasure of the board. So if the
Yeah.
board would like
Yeah.
us to come up with a different scenario, it would be important for us to know that.
What
So
about?
specifically, I'm sorry, Jennifer,
Oh,
on
it's
the
okay.
action tonight, the resolution, the half-page resolution that's on the agenda is specifically just to, again, to say the board, commits to moving forward. And then that will allow me to submit the OSCIM
For
grant
the OSCIM,
application to ODE
right.
on Friday. And we would need to have, we would then have a little over 2 months basically to figure out what program and amount we're looking at, because a more formal resolution like the one we passed last July would need to be done in February, no later than the February work session, but preferably by the February regular board meeting, because the first SEL is due to the county on March 1st for the May 21st, 2024 election.
Yeah, I don't see any downside to
Just-
approving this resolution
Yeah,
tonight.
right. Correct. I just just trying to state the
Right.
obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jennifer, just to point
Yep.
out, Josh has his hand up.
Yeah, Josh?
Hey, everyone. Jennifer, this is piggybacking off of you. I know that we talked earlier about including the public, particularly the old BAC. Do we need to include them in their opinions or decisions or a post-bond debrief going into May, or are we going to go on without their input?
Well, I think that's a decision of the board personally, but for me, I know me personally, I've already stated this, that I'm comfortable taking what the BAC recommended and trimming it. I'm not comfortable with doing much different than that, because that's the public, we had a great amount of public input that went into the bond, and I want to honor it, and I think it would be a mistake to just try to freestyle something new amongst the 7 board members. I think that would be not advisable in my opinion. So I don't know how other people feel, but that's my take on your question. Anybody else?
I guess the last thing I have about that is, I'd be in favor of one meeting with whoever from the BAC would like to come meet at the library again to discuss this, to say that we gave an opportunity for their voices to be heard and shared. That's all I got. If it doesn't happen, it's not a big deal. I'm just saying that's what I'd like to see.
Yeah. To me, that sounds reasonable. I think it just depends on staff capacity, because we're also asking staff to prepare for, what do we do with our Silverton Middle School students, as is suggested. And so we don't have a ton of capacity. We don't have unlimited capacity. I guess that's my only concern about that. But definitely would be great to be, if we can do it, if we can manage it. Aaron?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay. And Owen?
I'm good too. I guess I would take an opportunity. I would be interested to talk with the BAC as well, if we could make that happen. I feel like we did hear from them, and a lot of their work is still available to us. Fortunately, to go back and look and see how that can apply now that we've also heard from the public, and try to fit something together to ultimately satisfy the public. But I also believe that we need to honor their work, not just to honor it, but because it's valuable work, and I believe in the quality of it, and that it pretty well did identify what our needs are. So
All All right, if anybody else has something to say?
I just wanted to add that I think it's real important that, you know, as part of this, working with the BAC or whatever, that we, I think one valuable lesson we learned from the last time is we want to really have things pinpointed and described as far as what someone would be getting for whatever option we choose. And at that point, it'd be very transparent, and I still, you know, as much public input as possible in a short time, as far as asking clarification questions and this sort of thing. And that can even be once we've got the decision as far as what we're going after, but before election, to have that sort of opportunity for the public, I think is important. But no, I like, you know, behind getting the resolution going so that we can get going on the OSCIM grant. And
Yeah.
fine tune it in the
And
next couple of weeks.
I
few
think
weeks.
the more public input, the better, but that the one concern
Yeah.
I have is capacity.
Yeah.
Can we do it?
Yeah, short
Um,
amount of time. But
Yep. All right, then I think we're ready to move on to 10B, the teaching and learning updates with Leslie Roach, Director of Teaching and Learning.
Good evening. I have just a few housekeeping items. Per our own board policy, IIA, selection of instructional materials. This year, it is science adoption year, according to the ODE schedule. Every 7 years, a subject or course is up for adoption review. So we are forming our science materials adoption committee. And so even if we don't elect to adopt or purchase anything, our policy is that we make that announcement at a board meeting so that the public knows we are forming the committee. I have given you several presentations about this year's SIA plan, Integrated Guidance Plan, on the July 10th board meeting. I gave the formal presentation that included our goals, and our grant agreement has finally come in from ODE, and so now I am letting you know that grant agreement is here. It's posted on Board Book, and we will turn the minutes in for this to ODE so that we can execute the grant. So if you have any questions about the SIA grant agreement, I would be happy to answer them.
No, I'm looking forward to the data that comes back at the end to see how we landed.
Yeah. And then the last one is simply that our federal program Title III, the English Learners Annual Report, it's a statewide report that ODE releases every year, is posted to our website and is available for the public to review.
All right.
So that's all the teaching and learning updates.
Anybody have questions for Leslie? Not seeing any questions from our remote folks either, so thank you so much, Leslie. All right, number 10C, Facilities Department update. Jeff Alderman, Facilities Director, and Dustin Haney, Assistant Facilities Director, and Steve Nielsen, Director of Finance and Operations.
Hello.
Hello.
So I'm pleased to have Jeff Alderman and Dustin Haney back with me. Jeff, as you may recall, started with us in July, right? As our new facilities director, replacing Lauren Stanley. And Dustin is our assistant facilities director and also helps in food service and transportation. You may recall we were all here with Helen Fetch in August to give an update on summer projects and those types of things. And our goal was to be here about quarterly and give a detailed update, and also an opportunity for Jeff to kind of give a report after his first 5 months or so. So I'm going to let Jeff and Dustin do most of the talking here.
Hey, good evening. It's been 5 months. It feels like a lot longer just because everybody has been so welcoming and kind. I feel like a part of the community, and I really do appreciate everybody who's contributed to that. Feels like, facilities is quick. You hit the ground running, and we got a lot on our plates. Right after I started, we had a retirement in our department. We took the time to discuss the needs of our department, how we can best utilize our staff and time and our resources. So we decided to change our approach a little bit. Our new hire would start later. They would be getting an additional vehicle and equipment and tools so that they could we could double our capacity. Prior to me coming here, both of the CM3s who roamed about the district doing our maintenance work were generally together. There was one vehicle that they utilized to do all of the maintenance for the district, aside from some of the high school stuff and some low-level stuff by our CM1s at the outlying schools. We had a good show of support in our applicant pool. We had a good first round of interviews. We had 5 show up for our second, and we were able to select a really great candidate in a gentleman named Leland Detweiler. Our second round, we really wanted to separate folks and try to make it as unbiased and as simple of a process for this as we could. So we had them come in and do some practical tests of sorts. We had them replace some drywall. We had them fix a flushometer. We had them troubleshoot a door closure just so we could try to find the best candidate possible for us. Like I said, Leland Detweiler came out on top. He took the position just a few weeks ago. We have him starting early to begin his time. He's going to transition to an 8 o'clock start so that we can reach out and touch our CM1s who are at the outlying schools. Right now they're by themselves from the time they start till the end of their shifts, and we want to have some support and some outreach, some training opportunities for them so that we can produce a better skill set for those folks out there as well. So we were able to get a new vehicle, like I said. That gives us two CM3s that can roam about the district, and we can hopefully get twice as much accomplished. Let's see. Other changes we've been trying to make, trying to add some new equipment. I've bought a few pieces that we bought used, but our staff's been able to really save a lot of time utilizing those pieces. Some of them, some walk-behind leaf blowers that took some of our maintenance from 3 hours at sites to 30 minutes. So some substantial savings in time and effort, allowing us to get more accomplished in our day. We've also decided to take our custodial support from Bethany and put it back to our district buildings. Our staff was stretched thin. We have some people who are out and some injuries and some births, and it's really stretched us. So we're looking at all opportunities to save time, resources, and money. And then we've been looking at issues and problems that have been occurring over the district for many years, and we're starting to get some of those items wiped out. At Robert Frost, we didn't have some supply and exhaust fans working for at least the last 7 years. We've been able to get some contractors in and get those up and running again. So we're making some progress. We got lots to do and never a dull moment. Mr. Dustin will give you a update on some of the projects we've completed since our last time here.
Hello. Well, we have a solid group of custodians, and we have a very dedicated group of maintenance workers, and without them, all these projects that I'm going to share with you would not get done. They work hard each day, and they try to do the best job they can for our schools and students. So the preschool was the big project that was accomplished, and it did come in on time in order for the students to be able to start their preschool year. And that was a total team effort by Lauren and time before him and people in our district and Tommy Reedman Construction, and it all came together, and it came together well. Some other projects, installation of locking mailboxes across the district so that mail's not getting stolen. Emptying storage containers. We did have 5 storage containers that we were renting across the district, and now we're down to 1, and they're making progress on that. Improving two-way communication with SHS and SMS with two-way radios. Improving emergency communication. rather than going with two-way radios up to Silvercrest and out to Victor Point, we got a satellite phone. And so it doesn't matter what the weather is, what the conditions are, they can make emergency phone calls. If cell phones are not working, they just need to have line of sight with a satellite outside, and that's not an issue. Shot clocks, that was kind of a hot item from the OSAA, and so those shot clocks are installed and in place at Silverton High School in both gyms. We have ongoing water testing at our 7 small water system schools. That would be Bethany, Butte Creek, Central Howell, Evergreen, Prattham, Silvercrest, and Victor Point. We do draw quarterly samples. We follow all of the rules of the Oregon Small Water System, and all of those results are posted online for all public to see for every one of those schools. Ongoing mowing and landscaping, never-ending, broken pipes, broken irrigation pipes, leaking roofs, painting, floor maintenance, plumbing issues, unclogging roof drains that cause leaks through ceilings, electrical issues, carpentry. That's just ongoing weekly through our FMX system, and that's how we track that. That's our work order system. HVAC repairs across the district, whether it's freezers or refrigeration or boilers, furnaces, and so on. Facilitating numerous annual inspections, state-required inspections and maintenance. Completing the new lock system at SHS. That project would be done now, except we still don't have the 600-plus cores that were ordered months and months ago. They haven't come into Chown, so Chown hasn't had an opportunity to install those and finish that project. The HEPA filters went around and inventoried the 90-plus HEPA filters that were distributed in COVID, and we found all but 3, but we think that they are within the walls of the school. They just weren't in the room they were assigned to. So we're hoping to find the rest of those. Working with Scotts Mills on a covered play area. We had the Central Howell basement area, or basement issue for sealing walls, adding to their ventilation system, and putting in, there are 2 windows in that basement, and now those windows are able to open, where before they were just a solid window. Installing a swing set at the preschool that was ordered months and months ago, but it finally came in. It's going to be installed in January. Same thing with Scotts Mills, has been waiting for a play structure to be installed that was ordered months and months ago, but manufacturing and shipping delayed that, and it's finally arrived, and it's going to be installed in January. Replacing those upper windows at Mark Twain Elementary School. The windows still have not come in yet. But when they come in, All City Glass is going to install those. We had to replace a sewer pump out in front right on Pine Street for Silverton High School. And when they were doing that, both pumps were installed many years ago at the same time. And so they suggested that both pumps be replaced, which made sense. So both of those were replaced this last fall. We have our Type 10 and Type 20 vehicles on a 6-month maintenance schedule for the first time. So they'll all go in each 6 months, get their oil changes and whatever else is needed. We have hopefully a mild snow and ice removal season coming up here. And then custodial crew has been shorthanded for the reasons that Jeff just stated, but they are doing a great job, and they are a dedicated group.
Thanks so much.
Well, you did jokes. Go ahead. All right. Yeah, thank you, Dustin and Jeff. So one other thing that's really exciting on the list, as you know, we were awarded a state seismic grant. I think it's our 7th or 8th one after a 2 or 3 year dry spell. This time for Silvercrest, and it's a $2.4 million grant. So right now we are just finishing the RFP selection process for the engineer for the job. We had 3 bidders, and we did issue a notice of intent to award, and we're in the mandatory protest period. So our objective is to come to you on January 8th with an award recommendation for your consideration so that we can then move forward with the planning. The way this is looking is most likely planning over the next 10 to 12 months and a summer 2025 project. So I just want to thank both Jeff and Dustin as well as Helen and the whole facilities crew. They really do make a wonderful team. And, you know, Jeff has come in and really worked hard at establishing the relationships with the crew. He's out there in the buildings, out there at the maintenance shop, rolling up the sleeves and solving problems in the building with those folks. And you know, Helen's pulling miracles with our custodial schedule every day. It's very difficult, but she does a fabulous job. In fact, she works out of the office right back here in the back of this library. And then Dustin just has been invaluable. He keeps us very organized. If you ever have a chance to walk in the district office and look at the whiteboard, we meet every Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock to discuss how things are going and plan. And he just keeps us on top of everything. So I just can't thank him enough. And I say the only other thing I had is budgetarily, the facilities budget is about 11% of the general fund budget. So this year it's $5.6 million. 54% of that is employee costs. And right now we're sitting just under budget, about $100,000 under budget when taking into account year-to-date expenses and encumbrances. It probably doesn't account for the full freight of the PGE 17% increase on January 1st. We did budget for about half of that increase, so that'll take away some of that budget savings we have right now. But the other thing that's always out there is the potential for something to happen, you know, one of the buildings that, you know, we always have a budget in there for unexpected, you know, projects, and we have certain budgeted projects we've identified, but you know, that's always out there. So we'll hope for the best on that. And I think, Jeff, you were going to mention a few projects that just kind of the early 24-25 budgeting talk. You got a few things on the list that we're maybe going to bring forward in the spring for next year.
So we do. I did not write them down. Dustin's got them on his sheet here. So we're looking at some roofing at the preschool and some other buildings that are coming up to the end of their life. We're looking at some parking lot adjustments at the high school, as well as some restriping of a lot of the sites. Of course, we're looking at the potential for the bond of May of 2024. Those are the ones we have on the list for now, but like Steve said, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So hope for the best.
Any questions before they?
Yeah, just quick. How much was that grant for Silvercrest?
2.4 million.
Okay.
So our other grants that we received earlier in the program, the maximum at that time, they were $1.5 million grants, and they've now gone up to a maximum of 2.5. So this is the first one we've received with that new maximum amount.
Nice. Now those make a nice difference to all the buildings they've touched.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep, absolutely. So we're excited about that one.
We have 2 applications out for Central Howland Creek as well, to be decided on today.
For the next round.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Nice. Keep at them. Those are handy. Those are a lot of work to fill out, and thank you.
Absolutely.
Looks like Josh has a question or a comment.
Hey, Jeff, good to see you. The parking lot adjustments at the high school, could you help me out with that? Because I also know there's concerns about lighting in that auxiliary parking lot, and I don't know if that's what you were referring to or not.
That is part of it, yes. The auxiliary lighting, or the lighting for the auxiliary parking lot is being discussed. We also added that pre-K, and we're looking at some traffic adjustments in there as well, just to make sure that we're as safe as possible for the traffic that's being created in that area now. Looking at just some general upgrades and some of the signage that's severely faded and lacking. Just making some minor adjustments, working with the staff at the school to make the right choices and make people as safe as possible.
Thank you, Jeff. And hey, bud, you're doing a great job, man. I'm glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else? I just want to express appreciation for the whole team.
Thank you.
I think sometimes facilities gets overlooked, but it's really important. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the list is a financial report. Thank you. No worries.
Just going to start with a brief enrollment report, which I think it's on BoardBic now. If it's not, we'll get it on there tonight. But the last report was on October 1st, and as of December 1st, we're down 23 students district-wide compared to October 1st, which is a little bit more of an adjustment than I would have expected, but we are still up 65 since the end of last school year, which is great. And we're still sitting at more than we budgeted. So, overall, we're just a hair under a 50% recovery from our low point on June of 2022 that we lost from the pandemic. So most of the adjustment we saw was the high school, which is currently at 1,272 students. But it's up 50 from where they ended last year. And typically we will see a bit more of a dip after the holidays. That tends to happen especially right after the holidays or at the end of the first semester. So, but with, having been in the 3740s to 3750 for a couple of months, being in this new range here, our ADM is probably, sitting at, somewhere in between those numbers at this point, the average daily membership for the year. So we'll continue to track that. We also have some very detailed data from Heidi on the transfers. I know, Tom, we've talked about that a little bit. So we plan on presenting that last month on inter-district transfers, and I think we have some intra-district transfer data as well. We're still remain a heavy net in migration district, but it's always nice to see that by school. So we'll have that as well. On the financial side, we have moved forward from a conversation 2 weeks ago at our board work session, had an additional conversation with the principals and had them move budget discussions forward in their buildings. Some of the principals have already had those discussions, and we expect them to have at least one meeting, if not more, with staff before the winter break, and to get feedback from them on those before they leave for the break. So we do expect to have more, some feedback from those meetings, as well as some other information. We are still finishing the audit report. We got off to I think a pretty fast start, but things kind of got bogged down. Our auditor has a lot of school districts, and we also had another GASB, Governmental Accounting Standard Board, requirement this year, GASB 96, which requires us to account for all subscriptions on our financial statement. You may remember last year we had to add all of our leases on financial statements, so that's just a whole nother step to the process. So it looks like we'll have to wait till January for a full audit report there, which will dig into all sorts of stuff. And just a couple other things going on in our world today. We just started a once every 5-year ODE National School Lunch Program administrative review. So it's an on-site review. They just had their kickoff meeting with us this afternoon. We had a lot of information that was due to them in advance. Sodexo, our management partner, they take the lead, but we work side by side with them. Elizabeth and Robert Frost, who's one of our staff members, has done a tremendous job helping get ready for that. And Dan and Dustin and I are also involved, as well as Tim Lemke from Sodexo. So we met with Laura this afternoon, and the 3 schools or sites they selected to review are Central Howell, Community Roots, and Sequoia Falls. That means they'll also have to visit both Robert Frost and Silverton High School, because they're the sites that actually produce the meals for those 3 locations. So, so they'll be doing both breakfast and lunch observations at those 3 sites the next 3 days, and we have an exit interview on Thursday. And so I'm not sure how long it takes them to get the final report, but we plan on bringing a report back to you in January or February from food service. And also we plan on having technology and transportation come before you as well in the first 2 or 3 meetings of the next calendar year here. So that's about all the information I have tonight. So.
Well, I appreciate the upcoming reports. I think that those will be illuminating, so thanks for making those plans. Anybody else have comments or questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Appreciate it.
All right. Item 11 is a administrative rule that we don't need to take any action on. We don't have to discuss. It's just kind of a heads up. And the topic of the AR is head lice. Is there any desire to discuss this AR? Doesn't look like it. So that's just like a courtesy so that we're transparent to the community about implementing a new AR, even though the board doesn't, it's not really our lane. So let's go on to 11B, the policy second reads. Of course, we are delaying the discussion of the grading and reporting system, the recommended delete. We're gonna postpone that because maybe some more additional work can be done on that. But we still got the high school classes policy. Any discussion?
I'll just add that I did send you an email with a little bit of information regarding other districts on this policy, so you should have received that from me. And we did talk to Owen. You had asked about input from administration. We did meet with the high school admin team, and they would like the policy to be as it is, other than that minor little change that's highlighted in there as far as the being able to apply middle school, getting credit for that. They don't want to reduce the number of credits that have to be earned at Silverton High School. They want that to remain as it is. And one of the things that they did put forth that I thought I would share with you is that from the NCAA fact sheet, it reads that to be NCAA eligible, you must complete 16 NCAA approved core course credits in 8 academic semesters or 4 consecutive academic years from the start of 9th grade. And they said that they did not want a student to inadvertently make a mistake to make them NCAA ineligible by reducing those credits. So that was one reason that they gave for wanting to maintain that all that even though earning a credit in middle school, that does not reduce the number of credits that, from Silverton High School. So.
Any questions or discussion around that? All right, let's move on then to the second public comment period. So this is specific to discussion and action items. If you would like to speak during public comment and are attending virtually, use the raise hand feature on Zoom. If you're attending in person, please approach the public comment table located in front of the board. We'll start with audience members. Jean, do you want to speak now?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I am Gene Pfeiffer. I have lived in this community my entire life. I have been involved with the Silver Falls School District for actually over 50 years. On the Budget Committee for 25, mostly as chairman. I was the chairman of the High School Relocation Committee in 93 and in 99. I'm a design build specialist, and I've done all types of buildings.
Are you speaking tonight on behalf of yourself?
On behalf of myself, yes.
So you're going to have 3 minutes. Tom's going to give you a signal when you have 30 seconds left.
Is he going to give me a signal to start too?
You can start whenever you
Okay, so I'm going to start this. Let's get this done. Last time you had a work session and I did say, may I speak? What I wanted to share with you is when I was doing my efforts out there with the public, 70% would wanted to vote yes. They said, we need to get this done. They're concerned that we've got the Slater building sitting there. Our superintendents have ignored the fact of what the history bears about what they already approved. And I think that the board needs to pay attention to that our members of our district, the owners, they have feelings, they're logical, they remember things. So one thing that was very evident to me in the work session 2 weeks ago was I didn't see any compassion represented as to why were they voting no, why were they being harmed, were they going to lose their house or have to move from Silverton. The history, I think, is really to bear in the ballot, which you have a copy of, 1994 ballot, spelled it out. We were voting for the first phase, but it also was approving the second phase and the values. The second phase also included saving the Slater building for the middle school. One of the problems was it was 15 million for the first phase and 12 to 18 for the second phase. We spent 16 and 53 for the second phase. People are remembering that. They are not happy. They don't trust you. We need to pay attention to the whole picture. When I listened to you talk about the three parts of the discussion last time, it wasn't just the new building. It was the operations money. It was the facilities if the students were learning. We need to pay attention. What if we have to go for an operations bond and we keep poking the people with this excessive cost? If we do it logically and affordably and sustainably, they'll vote yes with you. And then they'll also vote if you have an operations bond or if we have to go for another bond for the high school, which is coming. It's going to happen. But we're paying attention. We're putting all our eggs in one basket. We have a building that can handle 1,200 students. It can be done for a reasonable price of money. I had proposed $35 million for everything. But we need to pay attention to it. The people will work with you. I think if we keep going forward with this, you need to let go with Wanaha. They are presenting the case for build new, tear down and build new. We need to study the case of let's save what we have, be sustainable, have local people come in and determine what are the factors, what is it going to cost, is it agreeable to those letters that I produced and handed to you, or you've read them. We need to pay attention. I think we could work together rather than against each other. This is what we need to do. We can have a 70-30 vote.
Time's up, Jean. Thank you so much. If there's additional comments that are new to us, because I know you've sent us an email in the past, you can feel free to email the entire board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jean.
Is there anybody online with their hand up?
No hands raised.
Thank you. Come on up, Bill. All right, Bill, I'm going to ask you 4 questions. The first 2 are, what is your name and what's your relationship to the district?
Bill Schiedler, I'm a resident of the district, also have a child in high school.
And the third question is, are you speaking on behalf of yourself or a group?
I am just on behalf of myself.
Okay, and you'll have 30 seconds. Tom will give you you have 3 minutes. Tom will give you a 30-second warning. And your topic is the bond?
I'd just like to talk about the Bond Advisory Committee.
Okay.
I was a member of the committee, and one thing I heard tonight, I wasn't planning on speaking even until I heard it, and that's that you guys are going to build on the advice of the Bond Advisory Committee, starting with the $75 million middle school. We didn't have any choice in that middle school. It was given to us as a block amount. We were shown a film of the deterioration in the old high school, the current middle school. Then the question was asked, do we need to do something about the middle school? And yes, we do need to do something about the middle school, and that was the vote. We were not given any choice of a $65 million plan, an $85 million plan, a bigger building, a smaller building. There was zero choice at all for the Bond Advisory Committee on that. I don't know where that recommendation came from, but it did not come from the Bond Advisory Committee. So I just wanted to be clear on that.
Thanks, Bill.
Yep.
All right, any hands? Anybody else like to speak in the room tonight?
Oh, yes, we do. Eliza Torlin has raised her hand.
Oh, okay. Daniel, if
Danielle,
you're-
can you promote Eliza, please?
Hello.
Hi, Eliza.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a little echoey.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was hoping if I used my earbuds. How about now?
Yeah, it's about it's about the same. Your volume's kind of low too.
Well, listen, I just wanted to say thank you to the maintenance department and for that review and report of all of the things that they do each year and each day. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Eliza. All right, I think that is the close of our public comment period. So we're going to move on to item 13. The action item is the OSCIM grant resolution, and somebody needs to read this. Any volunteers?
I'll do it.
Okay.
So do you need a motion along with it?
Yeah, let's go ahead and, move
So
to.
I move to approve resolution number 12-11-2023, resolution authorizing 2024 bond program. Whereas the Board of Directors of the Silver Falls School District 4J is authorized by ORS 332.072 to transact all business coming within the jurisdiction of the district and to have control over the district's schools and properties. And whereas the Board of Directors of the Silver Falls School District 4J is authorized by ORS 328.205 to contract a bonded indebtedness for the purpose stated therein, and whereas the Board approves the district to proceed with a bond program for the May 21, 2024 election. Now therefore, pursuant to the powers vested in the Silver Falls School District 4J, the Board of Directors does hereby approve the district to proceed with a bond program for the May 21, 2024 election.
Second?
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 12-11-2023. Any discussion? Okay, let's vote.
Tom,
Yes.
Phil,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Owen,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
all in favor.
All right, moving on to item 14, future agenda item request. And it looks like we do not have any, and therefore, without objection, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.